Atlanta, a city celebrated for its lights, its music, and its influence on the world of hip-hop. But on this morning, the city woke not to beats or rhythms, but to whispers, rumors, and a scandal so devastating it threatens to shake the very foundations of one of hip-hop's most powerful dynasties. Clifford T.I. Harris, the once unshakable king of the South, now finds himself at the center of allegations that could end his career, destroy his family, and shatter his legacy forever. Social media erupted with hashtags like #Shekinah pregnant and #DNA for I Justice for Tiny, as fans and followers struggled to comprehend what appeared to be a betrayal of unimaginable proportions. Across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, the outrage was palpable, the disbelief universal, and the anticipation for answers immediate. It wasn't just gossip anymore. This was a drama unfolding in real time, one that would capture the attention of millions around the world. The allegations are shocking. Sources claim that Shekinah Anderson, a figure known to some for her private social life, is allegedly pregnant, and the father is rumored to be none other than T.I. himself. Fans reacted with a mix of shock, horror, and disbelief, with conversations exploding across platforms like wildfire. People asked, if this is true, how could Tiny, T.I.'s wife, endure such a betrayal? Speculation was rampant, but alongside the gossip were leaked documents, alleged medical reports, screenshots of private messages, and audio recordings that appeared to corroborate the claims. The very thought that these allegations could be true sent shockwaves through the city and beyond. Social media users didn't just trend hashtags, they flooded their feeds with disbelief, anger, and calls for justice. Tiny, a celebrity known for her music career and her role in reality television, suddenly became the embodiment of every wife betrayed, every mother blindsided, and every woman forced to confront a secret she never asked for. The heartbreak was visceral. Tiny appeared on camera, tears streaming down her face, demanding the truth. "I want a DNA test. My family deserves the truth," she declared, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear, fury, and desperation. The footage spread like wildfire, going viral within minutes and becoming the defining image of the scandal. Tiny was no longer just a singer, a television personality, or a figure in Atlanta's entertainment scene. She became a symbol of resilience in the face of unimaginable betrayal. The intensity of her pain struck a chord with millions watching as she stood publicly, vulnerable, yet defiant. The raw emotion on her face, the tremble in her voice, and the unrelenting determination to uncover the truth transformed her into the center of a story that was now dominating headlines, tweets, and trending videos worldwide. As the story unfolded, an anonymous source leaked private messages allegedly from Shekinah Anderson herself, claiming that if the DNA test results became public, T.I. could lose everything he held dear: his wife, his children, his career, and the empire he had built over decades. The stakes were colossal, and the public watched with bated breath as the tension reached a peak pitch. Inside a packed courtroom, cameras rolled, journalists whispered, and fans clung to every word. Then, an audio recording, purportedly T.I.'s voice, played across the room. "Don't worry, Shekinah. If this comes out, I'll handle Tiny." Gasps echoed through the gallery as the implications of these words became painfully clear. Tiny collapsed in tears, clutching her daughter, her voice breaking as she yelled, "Your father burned our home to the ground." The gravity of the situation was undeniable. A family, once a symbol of love and success, was being ripped apart in the harshest, most public way possible. The city of Atlanta, a place synonymous with music, nightlife, and glitz, suddenly found itself overshadowed by scandal and whispers of betrayal. Fans, journalists, and social media users dissected every leaked document, screenshot, and audio clip with feverish intensity. Alleged medical reports emerged online, claiming that the estimated conception date matched T.I.'s stay at an Atlanta hotel, a timeline that seemed to leave little room for doubt. Screenshots of private messages between Shekinah and confidants circulated, suggesting attempts to manage or conceal the situation. In the digital age, there was no escaping the fallout. Influencers posted their theories, reporters broadcast live from the streets, and every corner of the internet became a battleground for opinions, sympathies, and outrage. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It was documented, undeniable, and tearing through the very fabric of a family once admired for its unity and power. The climax of the drama came in the courtroom, where the case officially titled Tiny versus Clifford Harris and Shekinah Anderson was about to unfold. The atmosphere inside was electric with tension. Paparazzi crowded the steps outside. Fans held signs demanding justice, and reporters jostled to capture every angle of the unfolding tragedy. Tiny sat clutching tissues, her face streaked with tears, embodying every emotion felt by viewers across the globe. Shekinah entered, visibly pregnant, heavily guarded, her eyes a mix of defiance and guilt. And T.I., once considered untouchable, sat with his head bowed, hands clasped, eyes hollow, a man cornered by circumstance and the weight of betrayal. The courtroom was no longer just a legal arena. It was a stage on which the most personal, painful, and public of dramas played out in front of millions. The tension reached a crescendo as the DNA results were revealed. The envelope was opened, hands trembling as the world held its breath. And then the verdict. 99.9% probability. Clifford T.I. Harris is the biological father of Shekinah Anderson's child. The courtroom erupted. Gasps, screams, and uncontrollable sobs filled the room. Social media went into an instant frenzy. Tiny screamed, clutching her chest, sobbing, "Why, Clifford, why?" Her daughter clung to her, crying for her mother. Shekinah wept openly, insisting she never intended to create this chaos. Outside, protesters shouted, news channels broadcast non-stop, and the public weighed in with fierce opinions. T.I., once the king of the South, was now a man brought low by his own actions. Tiny's response was resolute. She filed for divorce, demanding half of T.I.'s empire and full custody of her children, citing repeated betrayal, emotional trauma, and public humiliation. Headlines screamed across media outlets. Tiny ends it all. Divorce after DNA bombshell. T.I.'s empire crumbles. The Harris family, once a symbol of power, love, and influence, was in ruins. T.I. sat alone in his mansion, phones buzzing endlessly with threats, calls from former allies turning cold, and the weight of public scrutiny pressing down. Tiny, however, emerged as a symbol of strength and resilience, standing firm despite the chaos, supported by her family and millions of fans who saw in her struggle a reflection of justice and determination. But the drama wasn't just confined to fans reacting online. Behind the scenes, Tiny Harris was reportedly fuming. "Why she gotta go live with this before telling me?" Tiny allegedly vented to a close friend. Tiny and Shekinah had shared a bond that many thought unbreakable. From family trips with T.I. and Tiny to weave appointments and every messy, emotional moment captured on reality TV. Their sisterhood was a combination of love, chaos, and loyalty. But this pregnancy announcement felt like a betrayal, an unwelcome disruption to the trust and transparency that Tiny thought existed between them. Sources close to the Harris family claimed Tiny began connecting the dots. Late-night calls Shekinah seemed to dodge, secretive meetups, and increasingly evasive answers whenever someone asked about the father. And then came the whisper that would ignite the firestorm completely. What if the baby wasn't just some random man? What if it was T.I.'s? The notion sounded wild and unbelievable. In any normal household, such an idea might have been dismissed outright. But in the world of reality TV, celebrity friendships, and viral speculation, fans immediately ran with the narrative. Social media exploded. Commenters reminded everyone that Shekinah had always been exceptionally close to T.I., sometimes too close for comfort. One fan tweeted, "Don't act like y'all ain't seen the tension on the show before," while another urged Tiny to get that DNA test before it's too late. Alleged DMs began circulating online, showing Shekinah speaking with a mysterious man about not keeping secrets forever. Blogs claimed those messages were directed at T.I., though no receipts proved it conclusively.
By that point, the damage had already been done. The internet had decided the Harris household was officially on fire, and Shekinah, caught in the middle of this swirling chaos, had to defend herself while the rumors spiraled out of control. Shekinah, maintaining a stance of defiance, went on another Instagram Live. "I don't owe nobody no explanations. My business is my business." Her voice trembling and her eyes darting anxiously. Instead of quelling speculation, her words seemed to fuel it further, making fans dissect every subtle movement, glance, and inflection. Tiny Circle was not backing down either. Allegedly, one of her closest friends, Zonique, was caught liking shady comments under posts about Shekinah. Fans were quick to notice, immediately speculating, "Oh, she knows something." The tension escalated further when Tiny reportedly confronted T.I. directly, demanding the truth. "I need answers. If you got something to say it now. Don't let me be the last to find out."
T.I., known for his quick temper and sharp tongue, allegedly snapped back, "Don't play me like that, Tiny. You sound crazy." But this argument was more than just words. It was an atmosphere thick with years of unresolved tension, distrust, and suspicion. Fans, of course, were eager to play detective. Old clips from the Harris family's reality shows were pulled up, moments where Shekinah and T.I. had shared playful, flirtatious exchanges were dissected, and TikTok compilations such as "Look at the way T.I. looks at Shekinah" went viral overnight. The narrative of a brewing scandal, once whispered in private circles, now played out in public forums across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as fans and bloggers speculated about every possible angle. By the end of the week, insiders claimed Tiny had given Shekinah a clear ultimatum: take a DNA test or end the friendship forever. Allegedly, Tiny told Shekinah during a heated phone call, "Shekinah, you my sister, but if you think I'ma let this slide without knowing the truth, you out your damn mind." The fallout was immediate. Fans were split down the middle. Some defended Shekinah, arguing that Tiny was overreacting or letting insecurity cloud her judgment. Others sided with Tiny, insisting that real friends don't keep secrets that complicated. And in the middle of it all burned the central question on everyone's mind: who is the father of Shekinah's baby? If the DNA test confirmed what Tiny feared, it wouldn't just end a friendship, it could destroy a marriage. As blogs picked up the story, the private feud turned into entertainment for millions, with screenshots, TikTok edits, and trending hashtags dominating social media. Headlines screamed, "Shekinah pregnant and Tiny wants answers," and "Is T.I. the father?" Social media became a battleground, with fans dissecting every public interaction, every post, and every comment. Shekinah, feeling the pressure, went live again, her voice cracking, hand pressed to her stomach. "You want a show? Fine. But understand this, I never betrayed nobody. I ain't the snake you're painting me to be." The responses were divided. Some sent love and support, while others sent snake emojis and conspiracy theories. Tiny, according to insiders, decided face-to-face confrontation was necessary. Cameras weren't rolling, but the scene reportedly unfolded like a reality TV reunion special. Tiny allegedly walked into Shekinah's salon without warning. The air was icy and heavy, the tension palpable. "You go and tell me the truth right here, right now. Are we done?" Tiny reportedly demanded. Shekinah fired back, "You think I would do that to you after everything we've been through?" Tiny's reply was sharp. "Crazy? Crazy as you popping up pregnant and acting like I don't deserve answers?" Witnesses described the argument as loud, emotional, and filled with years of pent-up resentment, with words like loyalty, respect, and betrayal being thrown like daggers. And all the while, T.I.'s name hung heavily in the air, the unspoken accusation that neither woman wanted to voice outright. Fans, of course, weren't waiting for answers. Social media exploded with hashtags such as Shekinah Secrets and Tiny Deserves Better, and TikTok sleuths claimed to have uncovered Shekinah's baby registry and hidden clues in her Instagram captions hinting at the father. Meanwhile, T.I. broke his silence on a local radio station. "Man, y'all always trying to put me in something. I ain't got time for no mess. My family's solid. Don't believe the hype." But his denial only fueled speculation. Fans replayed his words, analyzed his body language, and argued over every second. Rumors soon surfaced that Tiny had already lined up a legitimate doctor for a DNA test, leaving no room for shortcuts or speculation. This wasn't reality TV anymore. It was science about to reveal the truth. Shekinah, refusing to back down, went live once again. "Y'all think I'm scared? I ain't scared of no test, because I know who my baby daddy is, and ain't who y'all think." Her eyes darting left and right, however, kept fans questioning every word.
T.I., cornered by speculation, confirmed on a podcast, "If taking a test shuts everybody up, maybe that's what gotta happen. I ain't ducking nothing." Fans camped outside Shekinah's salon, bloggers tracked every family move, and gossip shows ran countdown clocks to the test day. When the test finally took place, the procedure was quiet and clinical, but the tension could be felt by anyone following the story. Swabs, paperwork, signatures, all completed without cameras rolling, but the drama was louder than anything scripted. After the test, paparazzi swarmed. Tiny kept her head down, Shekinah smiled through gritted teeth, and T.I. muttered, "You're gonna see." Days turned into weeks, and the results remained locked away, the most guarded secret in Atlanta. Whispers began to leak. Some insiders claimed T.I. was cleared completely. Others hinted the results implicated someone else in the circle, leaving the truth shrouded in mystery.
One thing became clear. The damage was already done. Tiny and Shekinah's friendship was shattered. Decades of loyalty crumbled under suspicion. T.I.'s image, already scarred by past controversies, was dragged through the mud once again. And fans were left with more questions than answers. Why haven't the results been revealed? If T.I. is innocent, why keep it a secret? The scandal, at its core, was about trust, betrayal, and the fragility of relationships in the spotlight. And there you have it, the story that has turned Atlanta upside down. Shekinah's bombshell pregnancy, Tiny's demands for the truth, and T.I. caught in the ire of a storm he swears he didn't create. 3 lives, 1 DNA test, and 1 million unanswered questions. The test has been taken, but the results are still sealed, still hidden, and still leaving fans on edge. However, the internet did not simply react, it detonated. Twitter exploded with hashtags like #ShekinahPregnant, #DNA for T.I., #Justice for Tiny. TikTok creators recorded themselves crying, disbelief and heartbreak pouring into millions of screens. Fans begged for answers. If this is true, Tiny's life is over. How much pain can one woman endure? And then came the moment that would be replayed on every screen across America. Cameras flashed, reporters swarmed, and Tiny, her voice trembling but her eyes sharp with a rage that could cut glass, faced the world. She did not whisper. She did not beg. She declared with a gravity that made millions hold their breath. In that instant, Tiny transcended her role as a celebrity wife. She became a symbol for every woman betrayed, every mother humiliated, every wife forced to carry scars she never asked for. But even as the world absorbed the gravity of her declaration, the nightmare was only beginning. Just when people thought the storm had reached its peak, another bombshell landed. Leaked messages, allegedly from Shekinah herself, revealed a chilling truth. If the DNA test goes public, T.I. will lose everything: his wife, his empire, his career. And in a courtroom heavy with silence, a voice, calculated, chilling, and unmistakably cold, echoed through the walls. The gallery gasped. Tiny collapsed into tears, clutching her daughter, screaming words that will forever be etched into history. "Your father destroyed our home. He burned it all to the ground." The cameras did not blink. The world watched as a family shattered, a marriage collapsed, and a betrayal so raw, so devastating unfolded live for everyone to witness. And fans across the globe were left whispering one haunting question: is this the end of T.I.'s legacy forever? This is not just drama, not just scandal. This is the anatomy of destruction, played out in real time, dissected on social media, etched into hashtags, and remembered as one of the darkest chapters in Atlanta's glittering empire of music and power. Then came the sentence that shattered millions of hearts and detonated across the internet.
The estimated conception date matched T.I.'s Atlanta hotel stay. Those words did not whisper, they screamed. Social media timelines froze, comment sections erupted, journalists gasped in disbelief, and influencers feasted on the spectacle, their captions sharp, biting, and relentless. This was no longer a rumor or idle gossip. It was a paper trail, a digital fingerprint of betrayal that left the Harris household irreparably fractured. Inside those walls, silence screamed louder than words. Tiny retreated, refusing to speak to Clifford. Friends reported she barely ate, barely slept, and during what was intended to be a family intervention, she collapsed, fainting in front of her children, carried away by her own son, a mother broken, a wife undone. Meanwhile, T.I. remained silent. Instagram went dark. Gone were the flashy stories, the confident captions, the carefully curated images of a family empire. Just emptiness. And in that silence, the world heard what words could not say. Silence became confession. And if silence was guilt, the anonymous whistleblower acted as executioner, releasing private messages from Shekinah herself to a close friend. The message was simple, terrifying, and unforgiving. If the DNA test goes public, he will lose everything: his wife, his empire, his career. And screens across the world filled with speculation. Some painted Shekinah as a manipulator, others as a victim of fear. One truth remained indisputable. The Harris Empire was bleeding, and it was bleeding out live in front of the entire world. The climax came in court, but this was not a trial. It was a public execution. Paparazzi swarmed the steps, fans held signs declaring "Justice for Tiny" and "DNA never lies." Journalists elbowed each other, desperate for front-row access to the unraveling of one of the greatest betrayals in modern celebrity history. Inside, the air was suffocating. Tiny entered first, tissues in hand, face streaked with tears. Shekinah followed, heavily guarded, each step analyzed, magnified, and scrutinized by the flashing lenses. And then Clifford Harris walked in. The once unshakable king of the South, now appearing as a man condemned, eyes hollow, shoulders slumped.
The judge called the case Tiny versus Clifford Harris and Shekinah Anderson, DNA and betrayal. Whispers rippled through the gallery. Then the bombshell. A grainy audio clip, allegedly T.I.'s, filled the room. The courtroom gasped, reporters scrambled, cameras clicked relentlessly. Tiny, as if pierced by an invisible dagger, screamed, "You destroyed me! You destroyed our family!" Her body shook uncontrollably, and she collapsed into her daughter's arms. The silence was deafening, until flashes lit the courtroom again, immortalizing a fallen queen betrayed by the man she had built an empire with. Outside, chaos reigned. Protesters shouted, fans wept, journalists broadcast live from the steps, calling it the ultimate betrayal. Some painted T.I. as a villain, others called Shekinah the puppet master. One thing was clear: the Harris Empire was crumbling in real time. And as Tiny left the courtroom, her words rang out like a war cry. "My children will know the truth. The world will know the truth. Clifford Harris will never break me again." Atlanta had seen scandals before, but this was no ordinary story. This was tragedy, raw, unfiltered, and broadcast live. Sometimes, the sharpest knives in the back do not come from enemies. They come from the person who once promised to love you forever. Tiny's betrayal was not just personal. It was public, brutal, and irreversible. The courtroom held its breath once more as the judge prepared to announce the DNA results. The room was heavy with anticipation, each heartbeat echoing like a drum. This was not just a document, it was destiny.
not just for an unborn child, but for the future of a family and the empire of a man who had once called himself king. The clerk's hands trembled as the envelope was opened. Papers rustled like distant thunder, and then the words that would shock the world. 99.9% probability. Clifford Harris, known publicly as T.I., is the biological father of Shekinah Anderson's child. The room erupted. Screams, sobs, and gasps collided in a symphony of chaos. Tiny scream pierced cameras, social media, and hearts across the globe. Why, Clifford? Why would you do this to me? To us? Her daughter clung to her as flashes captured the devastation, immortalizing the tragedy for the world to witness. Shekinah broke down. I never wanted this. He promised me everything. And now look. She stumbled forward to console Tiny, but Tiny retaliated, hurling a water bottle across the courtroom. You destroyed my life. You destroyed my children's home. Don't act like a victim. The courtroom spiraled into chaos. Fans outside chanted, "Cancel T.I., stand with Tiny, Shekinah is a snake." Within hours, news stations ran continuous coverage. TikTok exploded with memes, some mocking T.I., some glorifying Tiny, and some vilifying Shekinah. And then a grainy behind-the-scenes video surfaced, showing T.I. weeks before the trial laughing arrogantly with friends. Tiny isn't going anywhere. She can cry, she can sue, but she will always need me. And Shekinah? She's just another piece of the puzzle. The internet erupted. Twitter called him a narcissist. TikTok labeled him a manipulator. Comment sections overflowed with rage. His record labels severed ties. Sponsorships vanished. Deals dissolved. His empire, built over decades, was obliterated overnight. Meanwhile, Tiny's words spread like gospel. I never thought I'd see the day my family's name would be dragged like this. But I will rise, I will fight, and I will make sure my children know the truth about the man who broke our home. Shekinah, once a temptress in the media narrative, crumbled under the weight of her choices. Death threats flooded her inbox. Protesters camped outside her home, chanting her name like a curse. She broke down on Instagram Live. I did not destroy this family. He did. He told me he loved me. He told me he would leave Tiny. And now I am paying the price. I cannot even walk outside without being called a monster. The final blow came from Tiny herself. Divorce papers leaked online, brutal and public. She demanded half of T.I.'s empire, full custody of their children, and damages for emotional trauma. The documents read less like legal paperwork and more like poetry written in blood. Repeated betrayal, public humiliation, irreparable emotional damage. Tiny emerged from the courthouse, sunglasses masking her swollen eyes, children at her side. A queen betrayed, but unbroken, rising from the ashes as the empire she helped build crumbled behind her. The dynasty of Clifford Harris, once untouchable, lay in ruins. The loudest scandals are not always just stories. They are tragedies. And the sharpest knives in the back come from the person who once promised to love you forever. Tiny's betrayal was not just personal. It was public, brutal, and irreversible. The fallout extended far beyond legal documents and courtrooms. Shekinah disappeared from the public eye, facing harassment, threats, and intense scrutiny. Rumors circulated that Tiny had lost contracts worth over $30 million, and that she was preparing a tell-all memoir detailing her experience and perspective on the scandal. Meanwhile, Shekinah considered leaving Atlanta entirely, retreating from the city that had once been her stage. The Harris Empire, once celebrated as a paragon of success, influence, and family unity, had been replaced by betrayal, bitterness, and shattered dreams. Every social media post, news broadcast, and public statement became another reminder of the consequences of deception. This isn't just gossip, and it isn't just a family dispute. This is a tragedy unfolding in real time. A powerful dynasty brought low by betrayal, lies, and secrets. Tiny's tears represent more than personal grief. They represent the collapse of a home, the unraveling of trust, and the very real consequences of actions kept hidden for too long. T.I. fights to salvage his reputation and empire, while Tiny holds the fragments of a shattered heart in one hand, an undeniable proof of betrayal in the other. The question now remains, can anything be rebuilt from the ruins? Can trust ever return? Can a family recover from such public devastation? Or is this the permanent end of the Harris dynasty? The answers remain uncertain, but one thing is clear. The world will not look away, and this story, dark, raw, and devastating, is far from over.